Hey cats, it's me, your midsole man, Eddbud. I've received loads of questions from the viewers after my recent Adios Pro 4 review. I thought I'd better collate a few of them together and get out one of my famous comparison videos. I'm going to address the sizing of the shoes because that seems to be a real sticking point. I've got some key comparisons against some of the models that are sort of readily available right now. And also I'm going to do a little bit of talk around the perceived durability that we might get out of this shoe. So comparing that Adios Pro 4 from Adidas up against a number of other shoes, the Metaspeed Sky Paris from ASICS, the Alphafly 3 from Nike, and the Puma Deviate Nitro Elite 3. Loads to get through in today's video, so let's get to it. Thanks for tuning in, people. Always appreciated. Do hit that subscribe button and drop us a like as well. And a comment too to help with the algorithm. Dankeschön. Stats on screen right now, some quite interesting stuff actually. All of these coming in just over 200 up to about 246 grams in my UK 11, US 12. All of them have around about the same heel stack here and similar forefoot stacks. Quite a bit of difference though in terms of heel width and forefoot width when you're talking about the widest point, and a real price range here. The Puma coming in around about £195 here in the UK. That is easily the cheapest model, especially when you compare it to the Alphafly 3. That's about £285. Heavier shoe there, the Alphafly 3 by a good 15 grams. Might not seem like much, but when we're talking super light races, it all adds up. Just to make it very clear, the ASICS and PUMA shoes in today's video have been sent to me by those brands for review, but they're not paying me to make this video. The other two pairs I've bought with my own cash, okay? Just got to talk sizing very quickly. So I went true to size in the Adios Pro 4, and I'm pretty happy with that. I've used a thinner sock and thicker one with this. I've not really had any problems at all in terms of the fit. What I think's happening though is that you do need to actually lock yourself into the shoe in a certain way. I've been pushing my foot right to the very back here and then getting a really good lockdown, and I find that my foot isn't like falling or pushing forwards into the toe box area too much. It's kind of being restricted back here, which is really exactly what you want, and I'm getting a consistent amount of space up here in the toe box. So I can understand why some people might be going up a half size. I've got a slightly narrower than normal foot, so whether that's got something to do with it, I don't know, but it does seem to work for me, true to size. But you may want to try and check them out in store if you can and see what works best for you. Remember, your feet do swell up over the course of the day, so it might be that later in the day, you know, your foot's a bit bigger, the shoe feels a little bit more constrictive. I think I must have answered like hundreds of comments regarding the sizing, so hopefully that clears up where I'm coming from at least. So first comparison today, the Adios Pro 4 up against the ASICS Metaspeed Sky Paris even. Got to add that bit on the end, of course. Now, the compression here in the ASICS slightly firmer than the Adidas model now with this new formula of Light Strike Pro. There's similar levels, though, of bounce on landing. The ASICS shoe over the course of 2024 was a real PB grabber for me, 10K and half marathon. But I have to say, I do like the enhanced width here that we've got in the Adidas shoe over this one. Does perhaps feel a little bit friendlier, in fact, if you're a forefoot lander landing on this sort of really wide pad. This one's much narrower, as you can see. There's very little difference in stack between the two shoes, but the drop is quite different, where you've got the Energy Rods 2.0 present in the midsole here. We've got that rather flat plate, in fact, that creates this sort of trampoline-like feel. The Adidas shoe relies on the rocker a lot more. It does feel like you can engage the heel a little bit more in this one. I think it might make it slightly more appealing to a wider range of runners. Outsole-wise, I've got to be honest, the Metaspeed Sky Paris did suffer quite a bit. I had to put a bit of tender loving care into this one. It's a bit torn up, got to like 100 miles. It didn't feel quite as good as it did out of the box. Now, I know that in past versions of the Pro that people have taken these to like hundreds and hundreds of miles and they've still been great. In fact, the outsole's worn off way before the Light Strike Pro material does. We just don't know about the degradation of this foam yet though, do we? I know in the Prime X, which clearly features a little bit of this midsole, you know, sandwiched between the other stuff, that just seemed to go on and on and on and felt better and better the more you used it. But I think that was mainly down to the original formulation of Light Strike Pro rather than this new softer stuff. The ASICS foam, the Flight Foam Turbo Plus, did degrade quite a bit when you got it wet. I don't see that happening to this foam. It got absolutely saturated on my first run, and it was still performing brilliantly well. So hopefully over time it won't affect the properties of it too much. Though of course I did get some sharp thorns and stuff stuck in it, so it's not impervious to destruction. I think I view these two shoes a little bit differently. I'm not sure I'd take this up to the full marathon. For me, it was like a faster racer, really, like 5, 10k, half marathon. If you can keep that good form going throughout, you know, you've got quite a narrow heel here, so if you're going to start relying on that at the end of a marathon, then it might not be the best in terms of stability. I reckon this one's going to be a banger for the half and full marathon for me. When your form's dipping, there's just a bit more surface area here to rely on and target. Both exceptional shoes. I find it quite hard to give either one the cold shoulder this time. Top drawer, perhaps the Adidas just being a little bit more versatile. I could see myself even using it for some longer training runs, you know, whereas this one I always felt like I wanted to hold it back for the sort of times when it counted, I suppose, when it really mattered. So yeah, would I take one over the other? I guess if you're looking at it from overall perspective, the Adios Pro 4 is probably a little bit better for versatility. Alphafly 3 next, up against the Pro 4. So very similar stacks in these two. Drop, yeah, similar again, and 4-foot width too, though the Adidas is much narrower in the heel over the Alphafly 3. The cost, of course, is like astronomically higher for Nike's top tier race shoe here, and it makes it hard to recommend to anyone really unless you're really invested in the game of running. I mean, don't get me wrong, this shoe is super forgiving to use. I know people that use these just for everyday stuff. No, I don't mean like everyday like going to the pub or something, but you know, everyday running, long runs, speed workouts, racing, they just smash them into the ground and buy another one, and they just use the same shoe all the time, and that's great. But if we're talking about cost, you know, is it that much better in terms of the extra money you've got to shell out than the Adios Pro 4? I'm not entirely sure it is. I mean, this shoe's light, it's exhilarating, it's fun to run in. You've got to be a hardened Nike fan to think that there is loads more in the Alphafly 3. And, you know, I'm a guy that loves this model. I do like the traction on both of these. They have seemed to work very well in some wetter, sort of more testing conditions. Marginally more aggressive, perhaps, in the Alphafly 3, and a little bit better on those sort of muddy patches, anything that's a little bit smooth. The rubber here doesn't seem to quite like those very smooth surfaces as much as you'd hope. You know, on road and pavement, they're both pretty good. There's few that are better than these. I did try a 5k, you know, sort of close to all out effort in this one. It felt fine, but it does feel like it's more tailored for the sort of higher distances. It didn't feel like it was mind-numbingly assistive or anything like that. 10k, half marathon pace, you know, those sort of long runs with some speed interval stuff. You got it. That said, the Adios Pro 4 is absolutely going to be a shoe that I feature in my marathon training rotation, and it could be the competition shoe for me as well. I've already run loads of miles in this at my target marathon pace, and it does feel good. I'll tell you what, it does look weird from this camera angle. The edge is so straight here. Those 7:30 per mile paces feel very sustainable actually in this shoe. So it's going to be in the running for the Manchester Marathon in April of this year. Again, hard to draw myself away from the Alphafly 3 here, but I think the Adios Pro 4 is going to prove to be a bit of a headache actually when I get towards that race. Which one am I going to use? At the moment, they both feel great. So you're going to have to get some more runs in, I think, and see which one actually trumps the other. I got one more comparison for you, so the Adios Pro 4, this time up against the PUMA Deviate Nitro Elite 3. So these two are pretty much the same in terms of the narrowness in the heel, though much more 4-foot width here in the Adios Pro 4. I think people are going to really enjoy that, certainly for the marathon distance. PUMA do tend to stick to the sort of more traditional kind of size, you know, in terms of the widest point up in the 4-foot. The weights of the shoes very similar here. Between the two is only about 0.1 of an ounce. The PUMA just very marginally lighter. Out the box though, I did have to switch up the laces here from the Deviate Nitro Elite 3. The original ones were just a little bit too flexible, I suppose. These are bangers right out the box. Though I think the Nitro Elite material is a little bit more durable. I've got nothing stuck in here at all. The outer layer just seems to be hard enough, I suppose, to repel any like thorns or little rocks and stuff that might get embedded in there. There's absolutely none after 100 miles. I guess the other problem with this shoe is that up until recently, it's not really been all that available. There's been a load of runners out there that have been trying to get hold of these, and I know there's been a new drop recently, but yeah, when they drop this one, they're gone in a flash. So let's hope they get a few more out and ready to buy. You know, across the online retail stores, there's not many sizes left whatsoever. I can't imagine Adidas are going to make this shoe hard to get hold of. People really seem to be enjoying it. Yes, the Puma's are a little bit cheaper. Does it deliver, you know, the same level of performance here? I'd suggest at half marathon pace, I actually prefer the Puma a little bit. But I think if I'm going on those long runs, building it up again for the marathon, the Adios Pro 4 just seems to have a little bit more squash and compression. The energy return just seems a little bit better here. It's just almost assistive, I suppose. And again, when you get to the tail end of that marathon, you're going to want as much surface area here to try and stabilize you when your form starts to drift. So I really enjoyed this shoe. The grip is superb, unmatched. The durability on the outsole is stellar. Really enjoying this one so far. Is it better? Would I pick it over this one? Well, I've got to go on a trip to Spain this weekend to, you know, do some running, do a little bit of DJing, that kind of thing, and I'm going to take this with me. I think it's going to be a great one to run around Seville. So it just edges it for me, the Adios Pro 4 right now. All the comparisons very close though. I don't think there's much in it these days, especially within these four. The weights are so low and the sort of perceived propulsion that you get, you know, the lowering of that energy usage just seems to be very close now. Everybody's really tweaked all of their models. How are you finding the Adios Pro 4 so far? I'm seeing very positive views and comments about this shoe on the channel. Let us know your views down in the comments. Musical interlude time. Tough start to 2025, and I know that a lot of people find it really difficult around this time of year. It's dark. There's not an awful lot of light. You know, you go to work, you go to school, you come back and it's dark again. And sometimes you can feel a bit like directionless. But what you got to remember is that there's always someone out there for you. Andrew WK, go and check out his music. You may have missed some of his exceptional material. The guy's won awards for trying to sort of help people, you know, almost like a Samaritan, I suppose, trying to do his bit for like male mental health. There's a wonderful track called One Brother. Perhaps if there's a significant other that's, you know, done the dirty on you, that's telling you you're not good enough, no matter what you do, how much you put into something, how hard you try, you're not good enough. Well, you are. I'm telling you, you are right now. If you're trying 100%, then you absolutely are worth it, okay? Don't listen to those people. They're controlling you and they're trying to, you know, put you down, and it ain't on. You can't let it happen. Don't let people control the way you feel. You have an ability to control the way you feel. In the song, Andrew WK talks about how you just need one brother. You know, he's going to keep you going. He's going to keep you on the right track. You just need those friends. That's what you need. Keep those friends around you. They will support you and they will guide you through. Times may be bleak, but those people are there. They're waiting for you with open arms. So take them in, moving forward, and remember, you're worth it. There we go. Andrew WK, one brother. Thanks for tuning in, people. It is appreciated. And so are you for coming and watching my videos. If you love shoes, or you don't like shoes, maybe like music, maybe you just like listening to my voice, I really appreciate it. So thanks for being here. Hit that subscribe button if you've not done so already. Give this video a thumbs up, like, and drop us a comment for the algorithm. My name's Eddbud, and I'll be seeing you